That's 1-866-669-8954.
Napa Valley, California, home of some of the greatest wines to be found in this world, and it is also the home of Krupp Brothers Winery. And here joining us today, we happen to have with us here Michael Horn on the program, Dr. Jan Krupp.
Good morning. Great to be here, Michael.
Hey, good to have you on, Dr. Jan. And tell us a little bit about Krupp Brothers Winery. This is a passion of you and your brother, is that correct?
That's correct, Michael. It's been kind of a lifelong dream of me. I started loving to grow edible food crops as a young child and continued. And then when I was learning how to be a physician at Stanford, I also started to learn about California's great wine. One of the professors there was terrific at teaching me how to save people and also how to make wine. So for years, this was my hobby until 1991 when I created Krupp Vineyard, high in the hills above the Napa Valley. And I thought I would have both my medical practice and this vineyard for the rest of my life, but we developed a significant problem. The grapes were really good, and we developed a long waiting list of wineries from Napa and other Northern California areas. So in 1995, my brother and I put together a group to develop a very large vineyard in the mountains above the Napa Valley, stretching from the south side of Pritchard Hill all the way to Atlas Peak. And after we had planted about 500 acres of grapes, taking out over 1 billion pounds of rocks, we had time to go back to my original love, which was not only growing things, but making wine. My brother has a passion for wine, too, so that the two of us decided to create Krupp Brothers in 1999. And Krupp Brothers is a small winery. We make about 8,000 cases. And its strength really comes from our great vineyards. We're able to source some of the best blocks from the vineyards and sell the other 92% of the grapes to 60 different wineries.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this. You had a passion as a kid. You grew vegetables. Is this in like your backyard vegetable garden, or did you do this professionally?
Yeah, no, as a kid, backyard vegetable garden, and then in the summers I'd visit my uncle who did grow gladiolas and corn and dahlias professionally in his spare time. He worked for the Department of Agriculture during the week, so I would both help him and have vegetable gardens as a kid. I really love that type of work.
All right, so then you and your brother, now, and you said you're a doctor, because obviously you're Dr. Jan Krupp. What type of doctor? What's your practice?
I'm a doctor of internal medicine, and Michael, I practiced that and had my home vineyard for about 5 years in the early 90s. And then I started to develop large vineyards with the help of my brother. And in 1998, I stopped practicing medicine. About the time I passed 500,000 grapevines, there was only time to do one of those careers well.
One thing, and wines, grapes, that's it full time. So let's talk a little bit about this. Now, you have sold to a lot of different wineries like Hobbs, Paul Meyer, Caymus, my God, there's another name on that list, Chapelet, Minor, the list goes on and on. So you originally were a grower, obviously, and you sold grapes before you started your own winery.
That's true, Michael, and we still sell the vast majority of our grapes, over 90%, but we are able to pick some of the best fruit from these vineyards to create the wines that Krupp Brothers makes.
You mentioned high above Napa Valley. You mentioned Pritchard Hill and Atlas Peak. That is home to some of the finest wines of all of Napa Valley.
That's true. It's a great spot to make wine from.
And it can't be that easy either. That's some what do they call that? Some stressed vine area.
Yeah, the vines are constantly stressed because there's so much rock. To make our vineyards happen, we've taken out over 1 billion pounds of rocks. And still, if you'd come visit and we give you a shovel and you dig a few places, you'd find that over half of every shovel fill would still be rocks. So the roots, are surrounded by rocks and not much dirt. They're constantly water stressed. But if you take good care of them with the farming, you can really make some exceptional wines.
So where are you located? You're to the east of Napa Valley, is that correct?
Correct. To the east of Napa Valley, our vineyards on the south side of Pritchard Hill look down at Oakville, which is in the center of Napa Valley. And then they stretch 2 miles. It's a long vineyard, almost to Atlas Peak Mountain.
All right, so tell me about the wines that you make. There's one there, I think, named after your brother. It's called Black Bart.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Syrah.
Bart, being an East Coast partner in this venture, could never get people to believe that he was part owner of a vineyard and a winery until we named a wine after him and he signed the back label.
I like that.
Black
That's
Bart
good.
Syrah is a terrific Syrah. Coming to Napa, you think about Cabernet and maybe Merlot and Franc, and that's what Napa is famous for. But a very famous French vintner named Chapoutier thought that Stagecoach Vineyard, which we own, would be a great spot for Syrah. So hence we
Stagecoach
planted
Vineyard.
some-
Wait, hold on a second. Hold the phone. You own Stagecoach Vineyard?
Yes, yes.
You are this is it. I'm bowing down to you. I'm dropped to my knees and have now
You don't
bowed
have
to you.
but very much, Michael.
What
Yes.
other labels? Now, Krupp Brothers Winery, is there the Krupp Brothers label? What other labels do you make?
Well, the other labels that we make, besides Krupp Brothers, Cab, Merlot, Synchrony, we make Barasian Cabernet,
Yes,
which is
there
the
you
wine
go.
we make most of. And then we make Black Bart Syrah that we were just talking about, and Black Bart's Bride.
That Varasian Cabernet is to die for. I had to get that in there so people know about this. And you've been doing this since what? The late 90s, 1999. You started to do your own label and do your own wines.
Yes, that's correct, Michael.
Who's the winemaker?
Look, we have a winemaking team. The winemaker is Tress Getting. He used to make wine at Ladera Winery. Our winemaking consultant is Aaron Pott, who also makes wine for Blackbird and Seven Stones. Used to make wine in France and Saint-Emilion. Was a winemaker for St. Clement. So Tress and Aaron are the winemaking team, and of course I'm there for every blending session and bringing the grapes to the winery.
I'm going to have to ask Dr. Jan Mike if he could kind of stay with us through the break, because when we come back, I want to ask the question, because I'm wondering if there is an artist on staff as well, because for those that are watching the program today here on in our interactive chat room, they can actually see some of the labels on Krupp Brothers wines, and they have some of the most interesting labels I think that I have ever seen on a wine bottle. And when we come back, I think we should touch on that. Dr. Jan, would you
Looking
stay with
forward
us?
to it. Thank you.
I love the labels, but I'd much rather look at the art that is inside the bottle. So I'll tell you what, we'll make a pact, Paul. I'll buy the wines, drink them, and then I'll give you the labels. How's that sound?
That sounds great, Mike.
That's a deal.
Come to Yountville, California, in the heart of the Napa Valley, and enjoy the Villaggio Inn and Spa and the Vintage Inn. Welcome, enjoy,